I have a kitchen confession for you today, one that actually started my entire journey into plant-based living. And if you're here, I know this is keeping you up at night. In fact, I coach so many women who didn't end up plant-based because of their own strides in life, but because of someone they loved. This kitchen confession is all about what happens when your child declares themselves vegetarian or vegan or plant-based, and suddenly you have to create a brand new lifestyle in order to keep up. Now, this one is near and dear to my heart because this is actually what started me out on my own plant-based journey. A long time ago, when my daughter was just 3 years old, she went to class one day and came home and was so excited because she made a new friend. Of course, I was excited for her because when you're part of a brand new school, a brand new place that I would drop her off each day, you want your kid to make friends. You want your daughter to be happy when she goes to school. So when she came home and was uber excited about this new friend, of course, we had to set up play dates and do all the things that you do when your child is 3. And very quickly, I discovered that this new friend was plant-based, was vegetarian, and her family was actually vegan. So I went into hyperdrive mode, already somewhat aware of how food and health were interrelated, but I went down a very wild ride as I learned all about this new incredible lifestyle and how to have play dates, how to have a friend over when she truly was vegetarian and would not eat meat. My daughter quickly declared herself vegan as well, and the learning process started. A lot of things when you are more meat-centered, when everything you do has been built around meat, it's a very slippery slope because in your mind you are telling yourself all the things that go along with a traditional meat-based living arrangement. And one of the biggest things was, again, one of the most popular questions I get is, how do you get your protein? Of course, when you've never been a part of plant-based before, that of course is something very concerning, especially for a tiny little body, a 3-year-old who's just starting to grow, who's moving throughout her life, and I want her to have the best of everything. So how do you begin and what direction do you go? How do you overcome that and actually find out how to keep her little body healthy as she grows and as she matures? Well, I'm here to tell you, 27 years later, I now have a 30-year-old who is just as committed to plant-based eating as she ever was at 3, in fact, more so. She is happy, she is healthy. She's even gone into plant-based, become a plant-based pastry chef. So she has an uber amount of experience in plant-based, again, 27 years worth, and I'm happy to say that she is extremely healthy in everything she does. She eats better than probably most of us because she grew up with this, and not only that, but I helped her become a better person with eating and throughout this process simply by going along for the ride for her. So what are some tips that I can give you on overcoming this wild ride that I know you're on, that I know you're just beginning, or maybe you've been a part of it for now and are still kind of dipping your feet into it? The first thing that I would say is jump in with both feet. This isn't something that you have to make a radical change in your lifestyle very quickly. I spent several years on this journey of moving from eating meat into eating better, eating more plant-based foods, creating a variety in the meals that I created, and actually learning more about this. And my first tip would be is understand that this is a process. This is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not something that you're going to just get overnight. In fact, even when now I've been vegan and plant-based and all these other terms for years now, there is still a journey. It is still a process that I experience every single day. There's always something to learn, and of course there are always mistakes to be made. I talk about that all the time here on YouTube and also on my Substack channel if you'd like to subscribe. I talk about it all the time, all the different things that I've encountered over the last 3 decades here. But no matter where you are on your journey, I would suggest that you start simply. This isn't something that if you jump full force in, that you're going to have success with, because there's so many different mind shift switches that need to be made before you settle in and before you make it a part of your daily routine. So I always suggest that simple is better. Find a way that you can incorporate maybe just 3 meals into your week, something that you truly love. A great way to do that is to pick out a food that you currently love, whether it's mac and cheese or lasagna or pasta, whatever it is that you currently love. How can you make that plant-based? How can you move away from including meat in there and still creating a meal that you both or all of you in your family absolutely love? That is something that we strive for, and in some cases we would spend weeks, even months, attempting to find something that we thought was good enough to serve on a weekly basis. But it's out there, I guarantee you, and now it's easier than ever to find, because there are so many plant-based sites that truly make it easy to find. So find something that motivates you, that drives you, that when you put it on the table, everyone is just excited about, maybe ready to cook with you, and you thoroughly enjoy it. You love the leftovers from it. You love everything about it. Might sound difficult, but I guarantee you, when you have those as recipes that you can draw from, it makes serving dinner and it makes eating that much easier. The other thing I would suggest is to choose one vegetable or choose one cookbook each month and use that in order to explore new foods, in order to explore new recipes, and to find new foods and new entrees that you truly love. I happen to have a cookbook club that, again, if you go to my Substack, which is listed below, you can follow me there, and each month I introduce a brand new cookbook that I am using in my own home, and it gives you a wealth of information on understanding plant-based better and also finding new recipes that might become some of your favorites. I've been doing this for several years now, and I have an entire stack of cookbooks that I draw from on a regular basis. And the wonderful thing about that is when you work with a cookbook regularly, 1 month is a perfect example. When you work with it, you learn the foods, you learn the way that the cookbook author actually puts foods together. And what's nice about it is you recall that as you go along. So if I come home from a busy day and I know I need something quick, I know which cookbooks to grab off the shelf. I might even have them marked and highlighted individual recipes that I can draw from. And it's less likely that I'll pick up the phone and dial an order in or even jump in the car and go out if I have those recipes to fall back on. Wonderful way of also incorporating food sharing ideas with your family and friends. If one of the things that we love to do as a family is cook, we love to all get in the kitchen. So when everybody's together, we can jump in the kitchen and cook together, because that's how we share information about our days. We spend 30, 40, 50 minutes depending on the complexity of the recipe, and we just have fun doing it, chopping and stirring and creating fabulous dishes that we also then can sit down and consume together and continue the conversation. So it's a great way to also put kids, no matter what their age, in charge of what they're putting in their body, because it's also something that you can talk about. As my daughter would cook and slice and stir when she was 3 or 5 or 7, we could talk about all the complexities of food. And again, a lot of the stuff I was learning along the way, but as I shared it with her, it actually sunk in. And like I said, so much so that she's actually gone into food and is absolutely an excellent cook and baker in today. And finally, I will say that what I have also found that has worked incredibly well is to not assume that you know it all, that you are the expert in this area. Let them teach you things as well. And I think that also goes back to when you're cooking together, when you're actually sharing, maybe even when you're actually grocery shopping together. you will find times that they know a lot more than you do. And I think that's especially true being a Gen X, when you have millennial and Gen Z children, is that they are learning this stuff. This is innate to them. This is something that they're learning from their friends, that it just comes naturally to them. And so much so that she constantly is, bringing up new ideas, giving me new recipe ideas, new food ideas, things to work with. And it's been a world of fun learning right alongside her. Like I said, so much so that it actually pushed her into a wellness career, which again is something that that we all want for our kids, and we want them to move into adulthood and thrive no matter what they choose to do. And it's been so much fun watching her develop along this, and again, just kind of moving right alongside her, and maybe not taking the same road that I have learned from my parents. When my father did pass away at the age of 54, I knew I did not want that same road. I knew, with heart disease so strong in my family, from both my mom and my dad having a stroke and a heart attack, massive heart problems, that I knew I wanted a different life as I moved into my 50s and 60s and 70s and beyond, that I wanted to take a different journey. So as I was learning right alongside her, again, it shifted my own wellness strategy. And I think that's uber important because, again, we hope to model behavior for our children. And in some cases, the modeling is actually, causing you to take a different route. And I have thoroughly enjoyed who I've become as well in this entire process. So think of it not so much as your child taking a very difficult journey, or one that's, going to be difficult to live, or one that's maybe even an inconvenience. Look at this as an opportunity to rethink everything in your life. I think that's so much, especially when you hit midlife anyway, right? Rethinking the path you're on. And in this case, if your kids promote you to move over to a different path, one that potentially could make your life even better, even healthier, why not jump on board? Because kitchen joy is all about connection. It's not about losing things or a loss of the way you used to do something. This is about forging forward and creating something new. If you have a kitchen confession, I would love to hear from you. Please leave your comments below and let me know what kitchen confession you'd like to hear next. See you next time.